Hey, Stick Click, back with round two. I did the analysis of round one, and now I'm just going to do two so we can see some deals that weren't just Dan Kelly. Before I do this, my own bias comes into play a little bit. This is the legal disclaimer. My own bias will come into this, blah, blah, blah. My own bias comes into this with how I feel about certain players that I'm talking about. So that has to be factored in. You can also look at players that were drafted in the same round as these guys, So like Sam Bennett was the ninth pick. So you think, oh, that's the value. And it's like, oh, Sam Bennett is shit this year, or however you feel about him this year. And he was kind of decent last year. Like, where do you add the value with that? And then one pick before him was Matthew Schaefer. So this trade, when I'm talking about it, might look way different if it's like, hey, you get Kyrou and Matthew Schaefer. If Jamie drafted better, and maybe that pick was before, so he didn't have a choice. So, but it comes down to the talent that you're drafting. So I'd go look at everybody that was picked in the ninth round to give like a better like idea. But I'm just using for simplicity and just to give like a little bit of insight into these draft pick trades, a little bit of what the value looks like there, because there's free agents this year like Oliver Ekman-Larsson's like top 5 D man. If anybody wants him, like you can just ask me, but you can go see his fantasy points. He's very good, but he was a free agent, right? So value comes from all over. That's why it's a bit trickier to do it a few months in. It would have been better if I did it at the start of the season, because there's no bias there, but I was pretty busy getting married and whatnot. So here we go. This first trade was actually the last trade of the day before the deadline. So at this point, Jack was selling. Jamie was going for the championship, as we know. Jack traded Kyrou basically to get Swayman this year. So the trade-off was that, and obviously he was trying to tank at this point. This is when he made the switch back to selling. So Laferriere was maybe like a little bit of value, but it's hard to give any value to the guy that you get back. Because especially if you're trying to tank, really what you're trying to do is like this player could be like freaking what's his name, John Scott. It might as well all just say John Scott on the teams that are selling, because it's really what you get next year. The differential points or like value between Sam Bennett and Swayman. So basically, Jack for Sam Bennett this year got Jeremy Swayman for the price of Kyrou last year. And Kyrou wasn't dog shit last year, so he was actually very good, helped Jamie win a championship. So how do you feel about this deal, Storm? Swayman's pretty good this year. Bennett's not. So Jack did well with that. With a pick upgrade, was it worth Kyrou for a championship run? Up to everybody that's watching the video. Now we look at Dan and Lucas. Basically, we got McAvoy for Carlson. Lucas was going in at this point. Dan was selling. Provorov, though, wasn't like too bad, so he was getting a little bit of value back because Dan was still in a playoff spot, so he was in that weird 8 seed where he was buying and selling and doing whatever Dan does, just has fun, likes to party, So we got McAvoy for Carlson. That's a pretty even deal. Like those are like Carlson this year for McAvoy, McAvoy this year. The people on the bottom beside the picks are always year 11. I'm actually going to change that on the sheet so it's easy for me to follow. I'll also say anything on orange on here, just hopping ahead a bit. So Dan actually, this 11th pick that Alex got from Colin Ayre actually went to Dan. So this was a Dan pick. And you'll see a few guys like the Jack pick was actually involved in an earlier deal, like the Swayman one I just talked about. So just a heads up there, multiple guys are being passed around a lot. So Lucas for this one, pretty even D swap. Dan got the future value. Lucas got the current value. These guys are both, like lower mid. So kind of worked out perfect. This is actually a really good deal. Lucas got the value for playoffs. Dan got the value for this year. This is like pretty much like what you want from a trade pick deal. Like I'm getting the value this year. You're getting it next year. Pretty equivalent value. McAvoy or Carlson, debatable, but so that was a good deal. And so this is kind of gold standard. Good job, Dan and Lucas. I guess if you do 20 deals, one of them will be a good example, eh? Next up, we have Lucas and Marcello. So very Marcello sell here. Zetterlund was like, there's a few players like Zetterlund and like Laferriere that were like ranked like 130, and they were like this like average just like needs to be traded because Lucas's team was too good at this point to not have him, but he's not awful. So, but again, like this might as well be John Scott kind of thing. So let's just go Velarde, and very ironically, it was Velarde. So like very direct. Marcello got Velarde this year for trading Velarde last year. So what it actually ended up being is if you call Velarde exactly the same value, which it's argued that he's worse this year than last year. And this is, again, just off the top of my head. Maybe I'm wrong. You can fact check me on those kind of things. But Gabe Velarde is still Gabe Velarde. So basically, Lucas got decored this year for Velarde last year. So I'd say very much, in my opinion, Lucas won this where he had like a really good piece for playoffs. And all it cost him was the difference between decored and Velarde. And of course, every single goalie is injured in the league. But I don't know if Joey is still, but like a starter anyways. And what Marcello got was just Velarde back next year. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's like good for Marcello. He was just able to bring Gabe into the next year. But for like a minor, so like only 3 rounds, was that worth Velarde being a top 50 guy for playoffs for Lucas, or around there anyways? Next up, Alex Collinaire. Alex got Skinner for a playoff run. And this is just a tough draft pick, so this is why you have to look at the other picks in round 8. Very injured, very fragile. I shouldn't say that, not fragile, doesn't play a lot of games, Line. And so Alex got Skinner for a playoff run, starting goalie on one of the better teams. Collinaire didn't even get a player in that, which is fine. That's almost better than even saying John Scott, I guess. For Donato for Line this year. So Donato is obviously the better player. Alex just got lucky on the picks there. But overall value, I think Alex still, for the upside of only getting a Line, like a 8th round guy for the starting goalie. And then, like Stuart Skinner is also awful, but on a fantasy perspective, probably helped Alex out to make to the finals. Jamie and Kevin made a deal, a couple players. Kevin was selling at this point, so he traded Uyghur, who was actually good last year. See, this is all. That's why it's weird doing this at like going into December, because Uyghur's put up like 1 total point this year. But Aho, very much a playoff contributor. Uyghur was too. He was a top defenseman. So basically, Jamie got Uyghur and Aho for Fiala and Heiskanen this year, but also got Swayman and Kopitar value. So obviously, this deal here, Kevin wins, and that's the whole point of it, is that the guy getting the picks is winning next year. But obviously, that's almost stupid for me to say, sorry. But Fiala and Heiskanen for Aho and Uyghur, like pretty like close. Like that kind of worked out. But at the same time, you're losing Swayman and Kopitar and the deal for 2 players that you're trying to sink the ship for anyways. Up to you guys. I just more so want to break down the deals a little bit and quick thoughts with it. So let's just fire them here. So Poland got Roy, who knows? Patrick Roy, Nick Roy, I don't fucking know. But so he gave away Gostisbehere. And this year he used the pick that he got upgraded to go Stankhoven, Stinky Oven, and Ekholm became a free agent. So do with that info as you may. Poland got a little bit of value this year, but Gostisbehere was like it still is a contributing defenseman on a good team. It looks like this, like if you go Stanko and for Gostisbehere, that looks like pretty good in DJ's favor. He didn't really have to give up much. So maybe ask more of your draft picks, folks. Jack and Matt, this was a big one, a lot of names here. This one was a big deal because Darlene was like a top like 3 pick in the draft this year, obviously after keepers and everything like that, but potentially keeper-esque cusp. So when you sell guys that are around that area, you're also maybe selling a little bit into the future as well. But took basically a dump. Dostal wasn't good yet. DeBrusque and I don't even know, Z Jones. Matt got a goalie who was playing well, very good player. These were all like top 100 guys, and they were going to massively contribute to the playoffs. So you ask, did he get a good return this year? And he got Jack got Saros and Luke Hughes. And again, look at who else went in the 4th and 3rd rounds. But decent guys to get. Was it for UPL. March Sosa still a starting goalie, and I don't know. So this is a big haul. Got a little bit of value back, but he didn't need any value. Might as well be for John Scott's. Not bad. I'm going to give it a grade of not bad. This deal, Marcello and Alex. So this one's weird because Barkov was 9th round by them, but Marcello gave Brady Tkachuk, who became a keeper. They're like in the 3rd randomizer draft, I believe. So that's like that's a guy that's like could be for multiple years value for Alex, not just even the playoff run. So I think when we're baking in those like big guys like that, we have to think about, is this guy like potentially going to be value for them next year? Like, are they going to, if they get him as a 3rd keeper, like, is that worth what I'm selling right now? Because it worsens your team. So if Marcello had really good guys that he already had in his mix, let's see who he had again. So Marcello kept Kale McCarr Hellebuck, which could beat out Brady Tkachuk. Bo Horvat, I don't think would. Obviously, Bo's having a massive year, but ultimately you just have to be, and this isn't to razz on guys, it's more just like, so we have continued education as a league, because I think more of it's needed for us doing these kind of deals. So Alex got Brady Tkachuk for a playoff run. He was able to flip that, get some more value in the offseason from Riley, I'm assuming. I can't remember. Marcello got PLD this year, RIP, Parayko, free agent. So really, and that comes down to just some tough trades. But let's even go what value in that round. So if he didn't get PLD, he has, like Luke Hughes, Darcy Kemper, Dougie Hamilton, John Carlson, Stolars, Svechnikov. So if you want to give that value, and then Parayko, 10th round, I mean, he now is free agent. For Teravainen, and then Barkov, like, is obviously good. Like, who else went in the 9th round? 9th round, like Shabbat, Spencer Knight was a really good pick. Matthew Schaefer again, that we talked about earlier. That's lucky because, but McTavish, Stankoven, guys like that. So really, and then Teravainen, who's playing way better than we would expect. But really this year, these 4 picks ended up being not great, and there was a lot of probably value tied into Brady Tkachuk. So do with that information as you will. Langer gave Lucas Ehlers for a playoff run last year, for Hamilton this year. Buchnevich, free agent, so bad pick by Lucas. But round 6, like, you have your like Fantilli, Jared McCann, Montour, Lacombe, Quinton Byfield, Mika Zibanejad. So still some really good players in that round if you're not a dumbass, Lucas. Just kidding. But so Hamilton for Ehlers. Leo Carlson wasn't anything last year compared to what he is right now. So Langer was tanking. Lucas got Ehlers for a playoff run, and then could have had a good pick this year. Was it worth Dougie Hamilton and a 4th round pick, where you could have had Binnington, Duchesne, Tuck, Dursey? You be the judge. Kevin selling, took Broberg, no name. So you got Rustin Evander Kane, who became a free agent this year, for 14th round. So 14th and 13th round, we won't even like hardly count in this draft. Just shit shoot once you get down that low. That's the end of the draft, because we don't even go full 17 anymore because the keeper slots. So it's really Rust for Sider and Troy Terry. So Troy Terry outperformed probably his rounds, but getting a Brian Rust for Mo Sider for a playoff run, is that worth it? Who else is in the 6th round? Like, guys that I already said, like Rust actually went, that's fucking stupid. Obviously he went in the 6th round. Like Fantilli, the guys that I just named, like Byfield, Eriksson Ek, Zibanejad. So those are some decent players. Was it worth Sider for a playoff run? Yeah, that's pretty like good, comparable for sure. Like sellers having to deal with what they're given, so not bad. Marcello didn't get a player for this, but he gave Lacombe, who was on fucking fire last year, the reason why he went so high this year. 95th pick, 6th rounder, so he was a 6th round this year, but hasn't played up to that. But for Cam Fowler this year. Um, how's Cam Fowler doing? The Blues suck, but how's Cam? Cam's not doing great. So D'Angelo kind of like fell off. Good, fuck him. Cam Fowler, eighth round guys like you got Dylan Cousins, you got your Tom Wilsons, Troy Terry. So there could have been some good players that he took here for Lacombe, which was a big playoff contributor. He was hot last year, so um, just a bad, unfortunate pick compared to what he could have had. Some better value around there, but big name to give for playoff run. Kevin and DJ. DJ took Bennett for a playoff run. I imagine that's what it was, second last day, because I think DJ switched back to buying at that point. The pick eventually became Dan's pick, who took Kopitar. John Gibson. Obviously, there's better picks for the ninth round because Cam Talbot's the starter there. So was it worth Bennett for a playoff run? Yeah, that was like pretty decent deal there. And that's it for the picks. And then we had Marner for Jack Hughes. You'd be the judge of that that deal. There was no picks involved. So that was all the deals, I think, for the second last day before the trade deadline. So hopefully that helps. Just gives guys an idea of the value exchange and maybe help us just as a league better like kind of think of draft picks, trades, and stuff like that. I don't know if this is helping. Hopefully it is, but I just want to do it quick because now that the trades are starting to talk and we're getting into buy sell mode again, thought it would be helpful to do. Okay, cheers.